The rain had been beating against the cafe window for nearly an hour, turning the world outside into a blur of gray. Inside, the smell of warm bread and fresh coffee wrapped around the handful of customers like a blanket. And that was when she entered, soaked, shivering, breathing hard as if she had run from a storm much bigger than the one outside. Her hair clung to her cheeks, her clothes dripping onto the floor, and her eyes looked like someone who had forgotten what hope felt like. That was the first morning. The first moment that changed everything. The first time the single dad noticed her, before he even knew how deeply their lives would become tied together, or how the truth about who she really was would walk into the cafe one morning with 4 bodyguards and lawyers by her side. Before we continue, if you believe kindness and second chances can still change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel reach more hearts like yours. Every morning, Ethan woke before dawn to prepare breakfast for his 8-year-old son, Liam. He worked 2 jobs, slept little, and was always calculating how to stretch every dollar. Yet somehow, despite everything he lacked, he never failed to leave space for kindness. He knew what struggle felt like. He had lived it since the day his wife passed away, leaving him alone to raise their child with nothing but determination and love. The small cafe he visited on his way to work became his moment of quiet each morning before the day swallowed him whole. That was where he kept seeing her. The woman always sat at the corner table near the rainy window, clutching her thin arms tightly around herself, her clothes worn and ragged. She never ordered anything except a cup of hot water the cafe gave for free. She broke pieces of an old slice of bread from her pocket and dipped it in the water to soften it. She ate quietly, almost ashamed, as if trying to disappear into the fogged glass behind her. Ethan watched her for days. One morning, as the rain hammered harder than usual, he noticed her hands trembling so badly she could barely lift the piece of bread to her mouth. Something inside him cracked. Without thinking, he walked to her table and gently placed half of his sandwich in front of her. She froze, staring at it, then looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes, as if no one had offered her kindness in a long time. He didn't say anything. He simply nodded and walked back to Liam, who smiled softly, as if he had known his father would do that. The next morning, Ethan bought 2 sandwiches. One for Liam. One for her. Again, she looked surprised, hesitant, almost scared. But she accepted it. And for the first time, he saw her smile, small, fragile, but real. This continued for weeks. Ethan never asked why she sat alone every morning with wet hair and tear-stained cheeks. Never asked what she was running from. He somehow sensed she carried too many wounds already. Instead, he just offered food, warm tea, and moments of silent kindness that slowly stitched something inside her back together. Her name, he eventually learned, was Maya. One morning she arrived with bruises darkening her wrist. Another day with cuts near her lip. Ethan noticed, but she always shook her head when he looked concerned. She was scared of something. Or someone. Yet she kept coming back, drawn to the warmth she couldn't seem to find anywhere else. As days passed into weeks, Ethan saw small changes in her. She began brushing her hair. Sitting straighter. Smiling a little more. Once, Liam even drew her a picture of the 3 of them sitting in the cafe under a big smiling sun. She cried when she saw it, not loudly, not dramatically, just soft tears that said more than words ever could. But one morning, she didn't come. Then the next. A week passed. Ethan felt an ache he didn't understand. He had grown used to seeing her sitting there, waiting for her tea, waiting for the tiny piece of comfort they shared in silence. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Then, after 11 long days, everything changed. Ethan and Liam were eating breakfast when the cafe door opened and everyone turned. Maya walked in, but she didn't look like the woman he had seen before. She wore clean, elegant clothes. Her hair was brushed, glowing under the morning lights. Her trembling posture was gone, replaced with a quiet, powerful confidence. Behind her walked 2 lawyers, dressed in sharp black suits. And behind them, 4 massive bodyguards, scanning the cafe as if preparing for a presidential meeting. The entire cafe fell silent. Ethan froze. Liam blinked in confusion. Maya walked directly toward them. Her eyes were filled with tears, but this time, not from pain. From gratitude. She sat down, her lawyers standing respectfully behind her, and with trembling hands she placed a folded document on the table in front of Ethan. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was steady but full of emotion. She explained everything in one long breath. She hadn't been homeless. She hadn't been running from poverty. She had been running from a toxic, violent marriage to a wealthy businessman who controlled every part of her life. The bruises Ethan saw weren't from the streets, they were from her husband. She had risked everything to escape. She had hidden in cheap motels, cut her hair, thrown away her expensive clothes, and walked into that cafe because it felt safe. And the only reason she found the strength to keep going was him. His simple kindness broke through fear she had lived with for years. He treated her like a human being when she felt worthless. He reminded her that good still existed. Because of him, she finally contacted her family, hired legal help, and fought back. Her lawyers and bodyguards were here today to protect her as she completed the final steps of her freedom. Then she slid the document closer. It was a legal deed. She had purchased the cafe. And she wanted Ethan to manage it, full-time, with full salary, health insurance, and benefits. She knew he struggled, knew how hard he worked, and she wanted to repay him with more than just words. Ethan stared at her, unable to speak. Liam hugged her tightly, as if sensing the weight of the moment. The cafe owner, standing behind the counter, wiped his eyes quietly. Maya whispered that she would never forget what he did. That kindness saved her life in ways he didn't realize. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps more people hear stories like this one.